Lesson 3. To pick up where we left off last time with Lesson 2, and before we move on to this lesson, which will cover grammar and rhetorical devices, such as metaphor and simile, let's review tone one more time. The author's attitude is expressed in tone. Tone is what the author, not the reader, thinks and feels about the subject. A work can have more than one tone. It is set by the place and time and by the choice of vocabulary and details. It is the atmosphere the author has created. Here are some examples of tone. This place might be shabby, but because both of my children were born while we lived here, it has a special place in my heart. The tone is sentimental. It has a special place in my heart. Expresses tender emotions. This isn't the greatest apartment in the world, but it's not really that bad. The tone is tolerant. The words, "not really that bad," show that the writer accepts the situation while recognizing that it could be better. If only there were some decent jobs out there, I wouldn't be reduced to living in this miserable dump. The tone is bitter. The writer resents a situation that forces him or her to live in a miserable dump. This place does need some repairs, but I'm sure the landlord will be making improvements sometime soon. The tone is optimistic. The writer is expecting the apartment to be improved soon. When we move away, we're planning to release 300 cockroaches and termites, so we can leave the place exactly as we found it. The tone is humorous. The writer laughingly claims to be planning revenge on the landlord by returning the apartment to the terrible condition it was in when they moved. This is the apartment we live in. It provides shelter. The tone is objective. The writer does not express feelings about the apartment. He simply states facts. Now, some grammar. What are the 8 parts of speech? They are noun, adjective, verb, adverb, preposition, conjunction, and interjection. Here are examples. Nouns, house, flag, district. Adjectives, red, clumsy, ebullient. Verbs, scramble, flagellate, shoot. Adverbs, flat, wildly, cleverly. Pronouns, I, you, they. Prepositions, into, after, beneath. Conjunctions, and, or, but. Interjections, fire, run, ouch. Let's delve deeper into the parts of speech. Nouns. Proper. Proper nouns always start with a capital letter and refer to specific names of persons, places, or things. Examples: Ford, Dominoes, Game of Thrones. Common. Common nouns are the opposite of proper nouns. These are generic names of persons, places, or things. Examples: barbarian, pizza parlor, car. Concrete. This kind refers to nouns you can perceive through your 5 senses. Examples: quicksand, wooden board, chirping. Abstract. Unlike concrete nouns, abstract nouns are those that you can't perceive through your 5 senses. Examples: happiness, grudge, bravery. Count. It refers to anything that is countable and has a singular and plural form. Examples: kitten, video, ball. Mass. This is the opposite of count nouns. Mass nouns are also called non-countable nouns, and they need to have counters to quantify them. Examples of counters for mass nouns: kilo, cup, foot. Examples of mass nouns: rice, flour. Collective refers to a group of persons, animals, or things. Examples: faculty, group of teachers, class, group of students, pride, group of lions. Adverbs. Adverb of manner. This refers to how something happens or how an action is done. Example: Annie danced gracefully. The word gracefully tells how Annie danced. Adverb of time. This states when something happens or when it is done. Example: she came yesterday. The word yesterday tells when she came. Adverb of place. This tells something about where something happens or where something is done. Example: of course, I looked everywhere. The adverb, everywhere, tells where I looked. Adverb of degree. This states the intensity, or the degree to which a specific thing happens or is done. Example: the child is very talented. The word very answers the question: to what degree is the child talented? Conjunctions: the list, and, yet, but, for, nor, or, so. They connect two or more thoughts, actions, or things. Interjections: ouch! That must have hurt. Hooray! We won. Hey! I said enough? An interjection is followed by an exclamation point. Verbs. A verb shows action. It is a word used to describe an action, state, or occurrence, and forms the main part of the predicate. Example: the fish wiggles back and forth as it quickly swims upstream to spawn. The first verb is wiggles, and the predicate is wiggles back and forth. A state is a condition. Example: I am tired. Let's talk about different types of verbs for a moment. Active voice versus passive voice. Active: the farmer painted his barn. The subject is doing the action. Passive: the barn was painted by the farmer. The action is done to the subject. Active: the sexton rang the bell. Passive: the bell was rung by the sexton. Transitive verbs versus intransitive verbs. Transitive: the ball player hit the ball out of the park. Intransitive: no object, the musicians played until dark. Transitive and intransitive: the teenagers grabbed the lady's purse and ran. Intransitive: no object, the children gambled in the schoolyard. Verb moods. Indicative: I smacked him in the face. Imperative: smack him in the face now. Subjunctive: I wish he were smacked in the face. A few more examples of predicates. She dances. Verb only predicate. Ben reads the book. Verb plus direct object predicate. Ben's mother, Felicity, gave me a present. Verb plus indirect object plus direct object predicate. She listened to the radio. Verb plus prepositional object predicate. They elected her president. Verb plus object plus predicative noun predicate. She met him in the park. Verb plus object plus adjunct predicate. She is in the park. Verb plus predicative prepositional phrase predicate. Wow! Don't worry about all those definitions. Just understand the idea of what a predicate is, a verb with modifiers. Finally, auxiliary verbs. Bill will have laughed. Main verb, laugh. Will Bill have laughed? Main verb, laugh. They had been satisfied. Main verb, satisfy. Susan is pulling your leg. Main verb, pull. Whom did Jim give his dog to? Main verb, give. You should give it up. Main verb, give. Before we go any further with grammar, let's look at some things of which every writer is fond. Rhetorical devices, including figures of speech. Don't be alarmed at the big-sounding names. They are easy to understand. Rhetorical devices. They are words or phrases used in a non-literal sense for vivid effect and include figures of speech. Let's cover the figures of speech first. Oxymoron. Two opposite ideas joined to create an effect. As in, awfully good. Idiom. A group of words having a meaning not deducible from the individual words. Such as, it's raining cats and dogs. Onomatopoeia. A word formed to mimic the sound. Such as sizzle. Metaphor. Saying one thing is another thing. As in, my boyfriend is a rat. Simile. Saying one thing is like another thing. As in, my boyfriend is like a rat. Personification. Giving a non-human, human qualities. Think of talking Disney animals. Allusion. A reference to a book, movie, song, etc. As in, that high wire act makes me think of the spire on the Empire State Building. Hyperbole. Exaggeration. As in, I lost my head. Here are the rest of the rhetorical devices. Ethos. An appeal to authority aiming to establish the credibility of a speaker or source. For example, a writer might say, as a veterinarian, or, a Harvard University study, or a constitutional scholar. Pathos, an appeal to the reader's emotions. The writer or speaker is trying to make you feel something. Angry, guilty, sad, jealous. Logos, an appeal to logic. When the author makes logical connections between ideas, that's logos. If this happens, then this happens. Anecdote, a short personal story. Testimony, quoting from people who have something to say about an issue. Statistics and data, facts and figures, often accompanied by logos. Appeal to logic. Rhetorical questions, asking questions to make the reader think when no answer is sought. Imagery, language that appeals to the five senses, most often visual. Diction, word choice. Can be high/fancy or low/informal. Writers use specific words for denotative, dictionary definition, meanings or connotative, associative meanings. Slang, a type of informal diction, often regional. Jargon, specialized language, such as legal or medical. Alliteration, several words that share the same first letter. Assonance, repeated vowel sounds. Syntax, sentence structure. Repetition, mentioning a word or phrase several times. Anaphora, refers to lines beginning with the same word or phrase. Parallelism, writing constructed in a similar, symmetrical manner. Juxtaposition, holding two things up to compare or contrast them. Antithesis, mentioning one thing and its opposite. Analogy, a comparison between two things, typically to explain function. Usually one thing is more complicated, and the other is simple and common. Inclusive language, words that make the reader feel part of a group. We is an obvious one. Tone, the way the author's voice sounds. Is he silly? Sarcastic? Desperate? Humor, jokes and funny language. Irony. Situational irony. The opposite thing happens from what is expected. Dramatic irony. The reader knows more than the characters. Verbal irony. Saying one thing and meaning the opposite. Symbolism. One thing represents something else. Antimetable. Repetition of words in successive clauses, but in transposed order, such as fair is foul, and foul is fair. Antithesis. Opposition or contrast of ideas expressed by parallelism of words that are the opposites of each other. Man proposes. God disposes. Apostrophe. Talking to an object or idea as if it were human. The other kind is the punctuation mark. Metonymy. A scary word for a not-so-scary concept. As in, the pen is mightier than the sword. Paradox. Contradictory statement that may be true, such as, he has discovered that stepping back from the task has increased the rewards. Or, I can resist anything but temptation. A quote from Oscar Wilde. Pun, wordplay that exploits multiple meanings of a term. Synecdoche. A part made to represent the whole or vice versa, as in, all hands on deck. All hands represents the sailors. Understatement, making a situation seem less important than it is. For example, on winning the lottery, the winner said, I'm delighted. Parataxis, Greek, placing phrases and clauses one after another and not subordinating or coordinating them with conjunctions, as in, not then, not now, not ever. Repetendum, Latin, repeating phrases and clauses for effect. Not to confess but to deny, not confirm but to mislead, not to unite but to divide, not to build but to demolish. That's it for now. Next time, we will cover more grammar. I know it sounds boring, but I promise to make it fun.